There's tension in this country that a lot of people feel the country hasn't lived up to all the promise, that the equality of opportunity is not there for everybody, but it should be. We still have those ideals. The great challenge is to try to convey what I've been talking about in so many words in a few photographs. I'm Dan Berkovitz. My exhibit is called Lost Causes and American Landscapes at the Washington Printmakers Gallery from May 30th to June 30th, 2024. The show had two major themes. One is landscape photography, many photos that I've taken out west. And then the other part was what I called Lost Causes. I had a set of photographs of portraits of former high-level officials in the Iraqi government. And then also I've a number of photographs of Civil War battlefields. We were photographing this abandoned village, abandoned town, ghost town you might call it, in New Mexico. And just happened to be there, and all of a sudden, the thunderstorm, literally, it was like one of these time-lapse photographs where the clouds are billowing and coming right up before your very eyes. It was really dramatic. Cloud formation just appeared, and coincidentally appeared right above this mission with the cross on top. It was like the heavens were speaking, and I just happened to be there. When I go out to a place like that, and I also see the history of that place, and that's part of the mood that I feel when I'm there. The landscapes, the western U.S. was always viewed as the safety valve of this country, that we had all this land and all the problems with the Easterners, go west, young man, and California, and what a wonderful place California would be, and we always had this ability to expand on the frontier, and if life on the east and elsewhere was too complicated or not enough opportunity, go west. And so the western landscapes has always been a complement to issues and problems elsewhere in the country. At least that's how the West was initially settled. And the photograph of the Lincoln Memorial was taken right after, it was the summer of 2020, right after the George Floyd incident. At the time, I went down to the Lincoln Memorial to see what was going on down there. I had my camera, and the National Guard was there, and the National Guard was all over the Lincoln Memorial. And there's one photo of a guardsman standing between the pillars. So this is the Lincoln Memorial, and the memorial to what Lincoln did, and obviously fighting the Civil War and leading the country in those times. And here we are 160 years after that war, and the National Guard is back at the Lincoln Memorial to make sure that there's not violence about the protests concerning police violence and the killing of George Floyd. So that was really a continuation of this. That was right next to the Civil War photographs, and that what the Civil War was about is not entirely over in this country. There's a legacy in this country that we still have not yet achieved all the ideals that the founders enshrined in the founding documents of equality for everybody. And that photograph of the Washington Monument next to the Civil War, that was my attempt to convey that. And if the portraits of the Iraqis, you wouldn't know that these were necessarily people that we went to war with, and it's not what you would think, like what the enemy looks like. We think the enemy looks like the enemy. Okay, the enemy looks like evil. Well, the devil doesn't wear horns, okay? And other people in other countries, they pursue their interests, and this country pursues our interests, and sometimes those interests, sometimes there's good, sometimes there's evil, and sometimes countries go to war. It's not always apparent from looking at a person whether they're a good person or an evil person. You look at the Iraqis and those portraits, and they're human beings. And I think there is a consistency in the theme, in those themes, and there's a transition in them. If you notice, I had, in addition to the Iraqi portraits, around the Civil War battlefield portraits, there were a couple of portraits of reenactors, current day, like 2000, and took those photos in 2023 of reenactors of Civil War generals, so General Lee and Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was a notorious Confederate general. We think it very, very distant in time, Battle of Gettysburg, but it's not that distant in years. It's not that distant in geography. And the people, if you go there and talk to the people, it's not, it's very much a part of who we are today.